Betty and Connor Bowman lived a peaceful life in Rochester, Minnesota. Both hardworking medical professionals, everyone around them believed that they lived together in marital harmony. Together, they were working at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. Connor Bowman also worked in poison control, with specialist knowledge on various poisons. He was an able and experienced doctor and pharmacist with specialized knowledge that was designed to help people. But when his wife died of seemingly natural causes, a darker side to this knowledge was revealed. Debt, infidelity, and a haunting internet search history. This is the twisted web that surrounded the Bowmans' marriage and led to its tragic, fatal end. Betty Jo Bowman was born in Wichita, Kansas. She graduated from Bishop Carroll High School in 2009 and went on to get her pharmaceutical doctorate from the University of Kansas in 2017. It had been her dream to be a pharmacist since childhood, and she loved her job working at the Mayo Clinic in Rochester. The pharmacist who trained her there when she arrived remembered her to be very reliable and hardworking and smart, and a really nice person. She was in the position to help people, sharing her compassion and warmth with everyone she encountered at work, and she enjoyed it. It was in the trajectory of her career as a pharmacist that she met her husband, Dr. Connor Bowman. He also completed his pharmaceutical doctorate at the University of Kansas, graduating in the same year as Betty. According to their LinkedIn profiles, while she completed her residency in Topeka, he remained at the university studying for his MD. This was also where he worked as a poison specialist. The couple had been together since before graduation, and in December 2019, Connor proposed. Betty Jo posted about the engagement on her Facebook page and received a flood of positive comments in return. Her friends and family celebrating and congratulating the happy couple. Working in the same field, they shared the same goals and values. They both regularly donated to fundraisers and shared information about causes they were compassionate about on social media. They sought to combat medical misinformation and help people with their specialized knowledge. On May 31, 2021, Connor and Betty Bowman were married at the Rhapsody in Independence, Missouri. The couple honeymooned in Hawaii, fulfilling Betty's love of traveling, which had taken her to a wide range of national and international destinations such as Yosemite National Park, Chicago, New York, the Grand Canyon, Iceland, and the Caribbean. No doubt she had other such spectacular destinations in mind to visit with her new husband. Together, they moved to Rochester, Minnesota, where they both took jobs at the Mayo Clinic. Betty is an operating room pharmacist, and Connor is an internal medicine resident. The Mayo Clinic is one of the most reputable medical centers in the world. It has 3 campuses across the U.S. in Phoenix, Arizona, Jacksonville, Florida, and Rochester, Minnesota. Its residency program is competitive and very highly regarded. As a result, the Bowmans deemed their move to Minnesota from Kansas a necessary and worthy sacrifice. It would advance both of their careers, even as it cut them off from family and friends who remained in Kansas. They thought what any young couple thinks, that together they could withstand anything that life might throw at them. But this literally picture-perfect marriage, as the couple had an active social media presence and shared pictures of each other often, would soon undergo disturbing changes. The couple reportedly had separate bank accounts due to Connor's debts. They already worked in close proximity, having studied together and moved for the sake of the Mayo Clinic. An unstable financial situation may have added to any existing natural tension, but their friends suspected nothing amiss. Their neighbors knew them as a quiet, reserved couple who kept to themselves. Occasionally, neighbors would meet Betty when she was out walking the dog. a corgi named Sir Crumpet II of Mulberry. Crumpet was her pride and joy, and she enjoyed spoiling him.
Betty worshipped her dog. When he was a puppy, she would quite literally brush his teeth every single night. I've never met a more dedicated dog owner.
Indeed, it would be this dog that gave one of the only external signs that something was wrong in the house. A neighbor reported hearing the dog's loud barking early one morning, signifying a commotion, and the police arrived at the house soon after.
One morning, there was a bunch of their dogs were barking over there a whole bunch, and I might have heard a bit of shouting or something while we were sleeping. But yeah, and then sure enough, the cops kind of came soon after.
But neighbors had no idea why. Betty's tragic fate had until then been considered an accident. On the 16th of August 2023, Betty was admitted to hospital. She was experiencing stomach pains and dehydration, with symptoms similar to those of food poisoning. However, she did not respond to standard treatments. Her condition continued to deteriorate, and she experienced cardiac issues, fluid in her lungs, and eventually she experienced organ failure. Part of Betty's colon was discovered to be necrotic, dead tissue, and she was taken into surgery to remove the damaged section. Her worsening condition made one thing clear, that this was not a case of ordinary food poisoning, but what the real cause was, the doctors weren't sure. Connor suggested that Betty was suffering from HLH, a rare autoimmune disease that causes a person's white blood cells to attack their organs. She was tested for the condition, but the results came back inconclusive. With no explanation and no effective treatments, her condition deteriorated to the point that she died in hospital on August 20th, 2023. Her death as a result of this sudden, vicious illness shocked and devastated her family and friends.
And obviously it was devastating, and it was so sad, and I just couldn't believe that somebody as young as Betty and as generally healthy as Betty could possibly happen. But I work in the intensive care unit, and so I see, unexpected things happen that way. And so knowing that situations like what was supposed to have happened.
She had always been healthy and full of life. Her active lifestyle, commitment to her work, and love of traveling all showed Betty to be a vital young woman with a long, rewarding life ahead of her. Instead, she died in a hospital bed at the age of 32. Connor wrote Betty's obituary, listing the cause of her death as a sudden-onset autoimmune and infectious illness, though the test for HLH had been inconclusive. According to court documents, he told the medical examiner's office that Betty's death had been natural and that she would therefore be cremated immediately. He also attempted to cancel the autopsy, stating that his wife did not want to be a cadaver, a body to be dissected on a slab. Perhaps this was a genuine natural feeling in the midst of his grief, but his other actions surrounding his wife's death did not seem to be those of an innocent, grieving husband. Bowman was corresponding by email with one of the death investigators at the medical examiner's office. He asked the investigator if the toxicology analysis they were conducting would be more thorough than the hospital's typical analysis, the analysis Betty had already undergone. He also asked for a list of exactly what they would be testing for. On August 16th, the day she was admitted to hospital, she had granted Connor access to her protected health information. This access was supposed to expire when Betty died on August 20th. During the short course of her illness, he looked at her electronic health record regularly, accessing admission information, reviewed notes, medications, allergies, and an operating room log. He continued to access this record after her death, looking at it daily, though his access should have expired with her death. On August 22nd, he created a documentation encounter within her electronic health record, but he did not add anything to it. Because he had created something within the file, he was then identified as part of her care team, which meant he would continue to access the electronic record without entering his credentials. So why did he want access to her medical records? His behavior after her death was suspicious, but it was his behavior in the week prior that would signal to investigators that perhaps he was more involved in his wife's death than he claimed. Detectives obtained a search warrant for Connor's electronic devices, which included a University of Kansas laptop provided to him for his work in poison control. This work involved researching and answering calls about poisons, affording him a specialized knowledge in the field. As a device for confidential medical work, it had a VPN, that's Virtual Private Network Authentication process, meaning no one but him could access it. The university looked into search history on their device and network. They stated that Connor had been researching sodium nitrate. Sodium nitrate can be used to limit the transport of oxygen through the body. He had searched for online vendors that sold sodium nitrate, and on August 10th searched food versus industrial-grade sodium nitrate. He also accessed a medical journal usually used by medical professionals to search for information on the lethality of substances. The university also said that Connor had been researching colchicine, a drug used to treat gout. Neither Connor nor any other employees had received calls requesting information about colchicine, implying that he was researching it only out of personal rather than professional interest. He had visited the website GoodRx to search for liquid colchicine in conjunction with the website Stripe. Detectives took this to suggest Connor's intent to purchase liquid colchicine. His interest in it was not purely academic. They alleged that he wanted to use it. Colchicine is used to treat sudden attacks of gout. Gout is a form of arthritis that involves painful inflammation in the joints. In too high doses, however, colchicine can lead to poisoning. This poisoning is characterized by 3 phases. The first occurs 10 to 24 hours after ingestion. This is the gastrointestinal phase, which mimics the symptoms of food poisoning. The second phase occurs 24 hours to 7 days after ingestion. In this phase, the person's organs progressively shut down. The third phase is recovery a few weeks later if the person has not already been killed by multi-organ failure and sepsis. The progression of symptoms is eerily similar to Betty Bowman's sudden illness. On August 10th, Connor used the internet to convert Betty's weight into kilograms and multiply it times 0.8. 0.8 milligrams per kilogram is considered the dose at which colchicine can be lethal. When samples were taken and tested by the Minnesota Department of Health, it was found that colchicine was present in her system. She had never been diagnosed with gout or indeed with HLH. She had not been killed by a rare autoimmune disease, as her poison specialist husband insisted. Instead, the medical examiner determined that her cause of death was toxic effect of colchicine, and that her manner of death was a homicide. On August 10th, 10 days before her death, a friend visited Betty and tasted a smoothie her husband had made for her. It tasted very bad, the friend reported. She recalls finding it strange that he had made her a smoothie, since, as the warrant reads, he never made anything for anybody. The two friends even joked that Connor was trying to poison her. Though they weren't serious, Betty decided not to drink the smoothie anyway and threw it out. On August 14th, 2 days before she became ill, Betty texted a boyfriend. She had a few days off work and was looking forward to seeing him. They met up the following day when she was reportedly healthy. That evening, August 15th, the day before her health deteriorated, she told him she was drinking at home with her husband. The next morning, things had taken a darker turn. She told this friend that she had not slept at all because she felt so ill, and she believed that the cause was an alcoholic drink she had received because it was mixed into a large smoothie. Another female friend of Betty's raised concerns over Betty's death because Betty and Connor were having marital problems. They were in an open relationship, but they had agreed that they would not become emotionally attached to their other partners. But the couple's friends stated that Connor had become infatuated with his new girlfriend. Betty had apparently confronted him and suggested a divorce. The image of marital harmony that the couple shared on Facebook was not the whole story. 3 days after Betty's death, a friend visited the house to find that Connor's girlfriend was visiting him and Betty's photos had been taken down. Connor's debts and their separate bank accounts may have created financial tension within their relationship, and he reportedly told a friend that upon Betty's death, he would receive $500,000 in life insurance. The police considered this enough for a motive. They also suggested that further Google searches implied a guilty conscience and a desire to cover his tracks, such as when he searched internet browsing history, can it be used in court? Police track package delivery and delete Amazon data police. These searches could be dated to August 5, 2023, nearly 2 weeks before Betty's death. Investigators believed he had attempted to hide what he had done to his wife, but he had not done so successfully enough. On October 20th, Connor Bowman was arrested in a traffic stop and charged with murder in the second degree. A further search conducted on his home revealed a receipt for a $450,000 bank deposit. He had allegedly murdered his wife using his medical knowledge, the very thing that had brought them together, and he had allegedly done so for money. Betty was remembered as a warm, uplifting presence by all who knew her. One coworker described how on one of her last days alive, Betty came in later than usual because there was a beautiful rainbow and sunrise to observe.
Literally a week before she left, was her describing this like double rainbow that she saw in the morning before work while she was walking Crumpet, and she like wished us all like happiness and hoped that we found beauty in our day, and that was just her.
She would quite literally just pay me randomly I even had a flat tire at one point when I was on the way over to walk her dog, and I told her, I was like, hey, I'm running late. I'm so sorry. Without even saying anything, all of a sudden I get a Venmo for $60 that said tire fund. She was so proud of how far I've come in the horses and how she's so proud to see me chase my dreams, and that she was going to miss me and that Crumpet was going to miss me.
She saw the beauty in the world, and yet she was murdered, allegedly by the person who was supposed to love her the most. On the Decoder.